Welcome to another episode of Right Here in Mass. Joining me today is Gary Rawding, CEO of Symphony Concrete Coatings. Recognized as an expert in high-performance sales and negotiation, Gary consistently achieves exceptional results by leveraging a strategic approach and fostering a culture of excellence. Gary, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to have you. I know I gave a brief overview of what it is that you do, and of course, your full bio will be listed within our show notes. But I'd love it if you could share with our listeners who you are, what you do, and all of that fun stuff.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the introduction. So we operate Symphony Concrete Coatings. It's a garage floor, basement, patio, walkways, any kind of concrete surface. We do a beautiful resurfacing, similar to an epoxy, but we use a very special chemical manufactured by an incredible company called Pentec Industrial Coatings. It can be done in just one day, super durable, has a lifetime warranty. And it's just a awesome product to work with, great manufacturer to work with, and we're really lucky to be able to be the exclusive dealer for that product here in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And we really pride ourselves on providing exceptionally good customer service, exceptionally good consultative process, getting our customers exactly what they're looking for. And hopefully at the end of the day, I really want our customers to believe that they got more for their dollar than what they paid for. So they got a little extra from working with us. It's really important. We started this business about 6 years ago. And before that, I still have a home improvement business specializing in replacement windows. So this is the second business that we've developed. It's going very, very well. Our customers are enthusiastic. They give us terrific reviews. And even better for me personally is the team that we have working here. I love my customers, but the team that we have here is just so wonderful to work with. They really care. They're just great people, and I don't know. It's just nice to be able to work with people that actually want to be a part of it. They're not here just for a paycheck. They're here to do something that's productive. Even though we're only doing concrete coatings, we're not saving the world here, but we can make a positive impact, even if we're just doing something to make your home more beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. And so I know you mentioned that you started off by having a company, which you still have, that focuses on window replacements before moving
hmm
into concrete coatings. So what was that moment, I guess, that came up that made you realize that you wanted to start the second company and move forward with it?
I've been in the home improvement space for a long time, residential remodeling. I've done every home improvement there is, roofing and siding and gutters and everything there was. I always had a really negative view of the industry as a whole. I feel like it attracts a certain level of salesperson that may not be the most forthright. It's very difficult to get really super strong quality salespeople in this business. And what ends up happening is a lot of homeowners that I've spoken to over the years got taken advantage of in some way or another. And it's always really sat poorly with me. And I wanted to see if I could create a business that didn't have to do that, that was actually high integrity, that was delivering what was expected, that was giving the customer what they needed, not just what we wanted to sell them. And so I started a business called Symphony Home Improvement, which specialized in consultation. And I like to think about it as just we happen to sell replacement windows and doors. But we were sitting down with people and having a real meaningful conversation about what would actually make their lives better and how would it improve. We operate from a background of having a lot of building science incorporated in the conversation. So not just trying to sell a product, but actually give the actual reasons for it. We offered 7 different manufacturers. This was like really, really helpful for customers, especially because Windows is very, very complicated. There's a lot of different options. Every single salesperson tells you they have the best thing out there since sliced bread. And so what we try to do is actually weigh out what the pros and cons. The highest end is not the best for everybody, and then the lowest end is seldom the best for everybody as well. There's certain things that are important to you, and you should be able to get that and find out what the difference is. We built that business. It was really small. It was myself, my very first sales manager that I ever worked with that I really trusted. His name is Andy Lacapo, outstanding, really genius salesperson himself. We kind of share some of these same points of view. And we built this company to, uh, you know, give ourselves an alternative to some of these other larger organizations that we had been working with in the past. And it was a really nice lifestyle business. It was a great opportunity for us to earn a good paycheck, to help some people, to do the stuff that we were experts in. Uh, but it was lifestyle. It wasn't something that would last longer than just the time that we're doing it. If I got sick, if I got into a car accident, the business was over. And I thought about this stuff and I said, where can I see this business growing to? Where can I develop it? It takes so much expertise to be able to provide those consultations. It's really difficult to find that. So we decided to look at different options and how can we take this idea of consultative sales, this really customer-centric focus, this high-integrity business, and let's find something that may not be quite as competitive as the window business, find something a little bit different. And, we didn't set out to be concrete coatings experts. That wasn't our choice. The choice was that wasn't like what our initial focus was. We were trying to find a product that would be able to be that would fit this sort of model about education, working with our consumer, really helping them to understand what we have here, and so as a result, we ended up with this concrete coatings business, which has been really, really good for us. And to be able to leverage that same model of sharing information, consultative approach, and helping our customers get something that's really good. The biggest thing with this is that not all of these coatings are the same. When you look at a coating, maybe you've seen epoxy floors before. Maybe you've seen this at like Home Depot, where you can buy the kit off the shelf. They're cheap and they're advertised as really easy to do. But we see every day just total failures when it comes to all of these epoxy. They peel off. They end up tracked through the whole house. We have lots of horror stories of people who went out, tried it out, and then ruined their floor afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
So this is really where that consultative approach comes in, is like, let's look and measure what is the right thing for your home. Sometimes it's not our product. We'll be the first to share that with you, right? If the floor needs massive repairs that a coating isn't going to fix, we'll help point you in the right direction for those types of things. But if you're gonna go into this, if you're gonna do something to make that space beautiful, you want it to last. You want it to work right. You don't want it to be toxic. You want there to be some really important things to weigh out, pros and cons. And we think that sharing the information and going through that kind of a process is really valuable. So, it's an interesting journey in the sense that we went from a lifestyle business to creating something that was more of a legacy business that exists whether I'm, sitting at the desk in the office or out in the field, or I have my staff doing that as well. So it's a much larger organization. We've grown to 25 employees, which we're really proud of, and every one of them is like a family member.
I love that. And throughout the time, since you mentioned that you started the company 6 years ago, how did you get to that point of being able to grow it to 25 employees and being able to turn it into what you said, that legacy of whether or not something happens to you, it's going to keep going on its own?
Yeah, it's really challenging because when the company is two people and the CEO wears all the hats, they're doing marketing and sales and production and admin and every operational component and the whole thing. So you kind of have to figure out when it's an appropriate time to break off a piece of you and give it to somebody else for their responsibility to do the job. It's really challenging because you've worked on it. It's your job. It's all your effort, all your focus is on this one segment, and now it's somebody else's responsibility. So it's like the kids leaving to go to college a little bit, right? It's bittersweet. And as you grow, strategically planning when each of those changes happen, strategically planning when it's time to bring in another salesperson that's going to do it the same way that we do it, to bring in someone who's going to be in charge of our scheduling and that sort of thing. That's been a real difficult challenge too. But that's been a big part of our growth as a company, is like very slowly we add one more leadership component. We build out their team and develop that department. And then once each of those departments are operating, then you can move on to the next one. So initially that went a lot slower than we anticipated. We were hoping to have that all up and running in, in a year, right? That was the dream. But, certainly there's things that are a lot more challenging. And then, the people that you have in your organization, they drive a lot of that development. Not only do people have to be capable of doing those jobs, but they have to desire those jobs. Even if they're good at it, if they don't desire what they're doing, and they're not going to last long, and they're not going to be instrumental in developing that department. So we've been lucky that we've had really strong leaders that wanted to be here that have helped us to grow this business, and then in each of those departments. So that's a big part of this, is that development, and uh, timing out those jobs is really critically important.
Absolutely. And you made a good point by mentioning that you took it slowly by starting with adding one leadership position and then being able to flush out that team from there. And once you felt like they were in a really good position, being able to then move on to the next. And I think that's an important lesson for anything in business, is just kind of taking things slowly instead of just diving all in all at once and trying to do too many things at once that can end up almost pushing you back further rather than pushing you ahead. So exactly like what you shared, Gary, with your experience, just taking things step by step really has brought you into the position that you're in today.
Mm. It's weird because you have both sides of this. If you go too slowly, then you don't have enough of the resources that you need to, like, for example, when we were starting out, we were growing our production department fairly slowly because those people that are installing, they have to be really, really great craftsmen. They have to be clean and neat and courteous, and they have to have customer service skills, and they have to be super reliable because they're totally remote on their own all day. There's a whole bunch of asks for that department that we depend on. So making sure that we had the best guys for the job, the best people in there in that department, was really important. And so that takes its time to build. But meanwhile, we have some outstanding salespeople, and they're selling jobs left and right. So the backlog of jobs starts extending. So you do want to be nimble, you want to be fast in developing, but you can't forego your core, most important reasons what you're doing. Your integrity can't be sacrificed. The quality can't be sacrificed. So you need to have enough time to do it where you can get the right people, but you got to go fast as you can so that you can support the efforts of the people that are upstream in our marketing and our sales team. So it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. I feel like it's the same sort of challenges that most businesses run through. And I think before I had a business like this, I looked at it thinking, like, how hard could it be? Oh, I'm sure I could do that. And then we get involved with it and we're like, oh yeah, I see why everyone says this is so difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it's also too, I think of when you think of your team, the employees that directly work for you, but I also imagine that you've built a team of other contractors who might send work to you and vice versa. So could you talk more about that, of maybe strategic partnerships or other industry professionals that you've built solid relationships with?
So in general, we do all of our own marketing in-house. We have one agency that we work with, that I've been working with for years. She's a very close friend of mine, and uh, but in general, everything is happening internally. So we don't do a lot of referral business from other companies. We're exclusively working in residential business. Um, I say exclusively, it's like 94% residential business. So we can do some commercial, but our target customer is a residential customer, someone who's going to own this product, who's going to love what we do, who's going to want to give us a great review when we're done. Those are important things here. That's kind of how our target is. So uh, when we're doing business, we typically aren't bringing in a lot of like real estate agents or developers or contractors. We're going directly to our customer to do business. Um, with that said, though, you do have some relationships, and what we found was that generally, unless they were exclusively working for us, a subcontract relationship just doesn't work that well. You end up having to do repair work and go back on jobs. People that aren't in our organization don't tend to um, love what they're doing. They don't care as much. They're not trying to promote the brand. They're not a symphony person when they're outside of the organization. And there's some few exceptions to that. But generally internally, we find that we have a culture of taking pride in what we do. And it's very hard to convey that pride when someone's not part of the team, when they're kind of on the sideline. So, really, we want to be, we're flexible and easy to work with, but really we want to be all self-contained, and have it all in-house, have everything operating from within the same culture, the same, you know, goals, the same fundamental direction.
Absolutely. And so when you're getting ready to work with a customer, like when might they need a company like Symphony to work with? Are you working with people who are doing new builds in that sense, or are they noticing that their current concrete coatings are deteriorating? I'd love to hear more about those different instances where a customer might come to someone like yourself for that help.
Well, one of the things that was really exciting about getting into this business for us was that the average person that we talked to just doesn't have anything on their floor. It's just bare, ugly concrete. And if you think about it, it's really the only room in your whole house that is just completely unfinished, right? That floor is the difference maker. Like you wouldn't have an unfinished floor in your living room. Even when you go to finish a basement off, doing the floor over is a critical piece of that. So we think of the garage kind of the same way. As the garage is the bread and butter of the business. We do basements, we do patios, pool decks are beautiful. But really that garage floor is the core business with this. So when we're thinking about that space, we're looking at customers who may not even been aware that there was an option to do something with that. They've been putting up with it being ugly and cracked and messy and smelly and just a gross space. When we do this floor, it completely transforms how they live in that area. And the customers, the before and after, our customers, they freak out. They just love it. It is a total transformation. And it's such a weird thing because I think a lot of the things that we hear are things like, well, it's just a garage. Yeah, it's just a garage now. But when you transform that space and you actually finish it, it's not just a place where you park the car, it's a part of your home. It's an interior space. And so we see people that are using that space like they put tables in there for when they have their barbecue and their party. They use that space just generally different. People use it for workout rooms, all kinds of stuff like that. So who's our customer really isn't necessarily somebody who has a brand new house. I mean, they could. That's a good customer as well. But it's really that person who's looking to kind of finish off that ugly space. Maybe they've got some damage because of road salt and some cracks, which in New England, that's going to happen. And they're looking to kind of spruce it up. We work really hard to make sure that we're giving some of that inspiration for people who are looking to do something a little different from their home. And that's a lot of our marketing practices to kind of show what it could be. So it really is homeowners, anybody that wants to have something that's nice in their home.
Yeah.
So there's not any exclusions to the people that can choose this. This really is for everybody.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a great point about at that point when someone works with you to have concrete coatings for their garage, that it completely transforms their space and now makes it part of that interior. What are the benefits of having a coating in terms of maybe like helping the flooring last longer or anything like that? Like basically convince our listeners why people should have that for their house.
So it's not a structural thing, right? It's not
Mhm.
holding up the roof or anything. We do see a lot of times that there'll be cracks that run across the floor, and those are just irritating to look at. We can fill those in. We use a material that's 2 times stronger than the concrete itself. So, structurally, we can repair, we can patch, we can do a lot of things to make that floor, rejuvenated. This floor looks incredible on a brand new floor. And when you do this product specifically, this Pentec product, Pentec Industrial Coatings, it has a lifetime warranty. And the biggest hassle to all of this stuff, if you do an epoxy floor, for example, it takes several days for that to cure. You can't walk or drive on it. The smell in some of those can be pretty horrific. This is super duper low or no VOCs, so it's safe. It's also done in one day. We show up in the morning, we're done by like 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the average size job, and then you can drive on it the next day. You
Oh,
can walk
nice.
on it that evening. You can walk on it in 6 hours. So you don't have to go rent a pod. You don't have to move out your whole house. You can move it into the driveway. We can do our stuff, and then you move your stuff back in that evening. So it is incredibly convenient. It's absolutely worth it, and it lasts so well that you do it once and then you're done with it. I think the number one reason that people love this the most is that there's a, I mean, it's just a garage floor, but there's a weird sense of pride, a weird sense of someone takes a look at it and go, "Whoa, what did you do here? That's incredible."
Yeah.
And that really has been some of the feedback that we've got. That's one of the things customers are so proud of is they're people notice it. You know, before I got into this business, I had a customer for a window project. Wasn't even our chemical. We were looking at his house. This guy had the highest end everything, every single thing in the house. He was showing me his street bike, and he's picking it up with one finger. It was this like carbon fiber. It's like incredible, very expensive, high end stuff. He has an entire house full of these really fabulous toys, which I was like, wow, that's really cool. He goes, wait, let me show you something really amazing. I just had this done. And he brings me out to his garage to show me the floor in his garage. That was his level. Everything else is super high end, but that was his like, holy smokes, this is incredible. And I
Yeah.
feel like giving that was a big reason why I wanted to get into this because I felt the same way. I was like, oh, look at all this great stuff, but this is incredible.
Yeah.
And I feel like I wanted to give that experience to a lot of my customers too.
Mhm.
Even if they don't have every single high-end toy there is, this doesn't have to be only for that customer. This is for every person. It's a very accessible. It's a great option. It's very affordable, but it's something that gives you that really super high satisfaction, high pride of ownership.
Definitely. And I can imagine even more so for the people who spend so much time in their garage. Like I'm thinking of my dad, who I can always remember being in his garage every single weekend, all weekend, tinkering around and working on various projects. And whether you're working on projects in your garage or having cool toys in your garage, or even just want a nice space to pull into with your car, I think having that sense of pride is something that real people really value, especially around here, and really enjoy having in their homes.
I love the idea to well, before we started this, you always have these certain ideas of what it's going to be like, what people are going to be interested in, what it's going to be like to do these types of projects. The very first floor we ever did, we did it for my dad, lucky guy. All right, so we did the test floor for him. It came out gorgeous. He loved it, and he's always tinkering. He's always doing something in the garage. That's kind of his space. And I thought, okay, this is the perfect job for my dad. He's going to love it. It turns out he does love it, but the person who loves it the most, the number one cheerleader for everybody, is my mom. She loves it beyond all, and she's not out there all the time. She's not doing that stuff. But they have a little freezer out there that they use for some extra stuff. And
Mhm.
she's like, I don't have to put my shoes on to go get something out of the freezer.
Yeah.
It stays clean, it looks gorgeous, it's easy to maintain, there's nothing to it. And she's really the one that loves it the most. It changed her perception of that garage.
Yeah, that's funny to think of too. Like the people that you might not think appreciate the most are the ones who do.
Yeah. Especially, but to be fair too, if you're in there every single day, you want it to be nice. You want it to be
Yeah.
clean. You want it to be easy to work with. And I think a lot of people don't do that if they're in the garage tinkering every day because they're worried that you don't want to invest something really nice in your floor and then damage it because you're working there. And that's the reason why you have to use the Pentec product. Because if you use the Pentec product, it's going to be super durable, chemical resistant, abrasion resistant. It's an incredible product. It's really designed to work in those kind of high stress, high traffic environments. It's a commercial grade product, for residential application.
Absolutely. And so throughout the past 6 years of all the growth that your company has achieved, including the several projects that you've worked on for your customers and the 25 employees, what would you say is next for Symphony Concrete Coatings in the next year or so? Like if there's anything exciting that you have going on or anything that you really hope to bring to fruition in the future?
Absolutely. So, one of the things in my experience in the home improvement space that I've always, just an observation, was that the taller the company grew, the larger the revenue they were doing out of an individual location, the more prone to really destructive forces they were. All right. These giant home improvement, $100 million home improvement companies, they disappear overnight because they grew too large in one direction. What I've found is that it's far better to have a group, a collection of smaller operations that are able to really give you that one-to-one relationship as a customer and the provider here. So you can get great service, you get people who actually care, who are actually able to communicate. It's not a corporate structure. So you have a smaller local business, and if you want to grow your business, then you replicate and you develop in new locations. So growing wider rather than taller is really the secret sauce to what we're looking for here. So we'll be growing additional branches here and spreading out our footprint, but we always really aim to keep that local um, high relationship. No matter how much we grow, that high relationship type of a company is really important to us. We're really excited to have just brought on a new member of our team who's going to be heading up one more of our leadership roles in our communications division, where we're communicating with customers at a better capacity. So we're going to be growing that part of the division, that part of the company a little bit more, and really looking forward to adding that new team member to our team here. So it should be exciting growth opportunity here as we grow again this year, and then looking forward down the road, we'll be adding some new locations further north and some other options here.
Yeah, so you are busy, long story short.
Being an entrepreneur is a lot of stress. There's a lot of parts moving, but I just can't think of anything else I'd rather do.
Yeah,
You know, it's the only way I want to operate my life. I
yeah,
like, I love the sensation that my success, my family is the people that are around me, all of our success is directly related to our ability to do the job that we're trying to do here. Is we are in control of our lives as opposed to having other entities controlling our lives in business. So we get to
absolutely.
decide the path that we go, and we get to decide where we go with that. So that's exciting for us. That's the whole reason why we do it.
Yeah, I love that. And along that vein, for anyone who's looking to get into the home improvement industry, or maybe they've been in it but just want to finally go off on their own, what advice would you have to give to them?
So anything like this requires um, a lot of expertise. My recommendation would be definitely to spend some time operating within the industry, not just with one company, several different operations, so you can get a feel for what it's like and how people are doing this. That was a really critical piece of how I decided to open up my initial organization with the replacement window company, Symphony Home Improvement, was having been through several large and small organizations, seeing what works and seeing what didn't work was really, really vital in terms of figuring out what it is that we really want to do and what is it that we're trying to accomplish with this. Anybody can put a roof on. Why are you putting it on? That's the question. What is the point of this? Um, and so that's a really important aspect in terms of if you're going to start something, get your experience first. You don't want to learn all this stuff on the fly. It is, you don't want to mess up somebody's house. You don't want to cause harm to the people that you're working with. That's so much worse than not earning the paycheck, right? You don't want to do harm to the people that you're working with. So having the experience, having the right intentions, having the resources and the connections to people in the business, so that way you have somebody you can ask a question to, you can get some of those things answered. It's hard learning some of these lessons the hard way. All right. And if you can learn through some example, learn through somebody who can give you advice, that's really, really valuable. I can't overlook that enough. And my last thing would be is if you desire it, that's the most important piece of this. If you desire your autonomy, you desire being able to make the decision. It's not what I thought it was before I got into it. I thought it was, when you're the leader, you get to be first in line. When you're the leader, that's the guy that makes the money. And if that's what you want, you're going to have a really bad time. The leader is the one that is responsible for providing for other people. The leader is the one that is responsible for making sure that we all have enough to eat. And so, if you enjoy that role, that's going to create a much better experience for your company and the people that work with you, because it's really about the people. It's not about yourself. Really
Absolutely.
important.
Yeah, I love that advice. Gary, as we get closer to the end of this episode, one of my favorite questions to ask our guests is what their favorite local businesses are to support. So I'd love to hear the businesses that you frequent, support, and love.
So, I have a buddy of mine. We work together. Um, Back before I started my organizations. It's East Coast Metal Roofing. Paul Acciara shares a lot of the same point of views that I do. Outstanding organization. They've really grown. So give a shout out to them. Really, really great. Um, so I think they do things really right. They have the right attitudes about what they're going to do and how they do it. So I think that's a good one. There's so many great local businesses where we're in Burlington, and some old family businesses. One of the ones that I like the most is a simple bakery up the street from me, Lakasha's Bakery in Burlington. And man, that's my favorite place in the whole world. I tell you, I could eat there. I could eat there every single day. And I love the fact that they're just that family business there that's been around forever, and they do it the old way.
Yeah,
It's really
absolutely.
good.
And where can our listeners find you and Symphony Concrete Coatings online in case they'd like to connect further?
Well, we do a lot of work on Facebook. I'm sure you'll see us on Facebook, but check us out at www.symphonyconcretecoatings.com. And you can check us out there, as well as symphonyhomeimprovement.com as well, for replacement windows and doors.
Awesome. And I'll link to those places in the show notes so that way our listeners can click through and connect with you from there. But thank you so much again for being a guest on today's show, Gary.
It's really a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.